is a special report from News 13 inside Las Vegas.
The skyline of the Las Vegas Strip is about to change again. You're looking at a live picture from our News 13 Stratacam as we count down the final moments of the shuttered and shunned El Rancho Hotel. It's implosion time, Las Vegas, and you have a front row seat. Ask most anyone in town and they'll tell you it's an event that's long overdue. Good morning, I'm Jenna Anton. For those of you watching us live, thanks for staying up late or getting up early. And if you set your VCR to catch our coverage of the El Rancho implosion, we appreciate your choosing News 13. Check your clocks, it's just about 2:15 in the morning, and that means we're 15 minutes away from the demolition of the old El Rancho Hotel. The property that evolved from the Thunderbird Hotel to the Silverbird to the El Rancho is set to be reduced to dust. As always, we've got the implosion covered from every angle. News 13's Mark Martinez is back in the sky in Live Chopper 13 with Zoom Cam. Kate Turner is just outside the so-called exclusion zone on Las Vegas Boulevard. And Steve Krupe begins our coverage from the Riviera parking garage overlooking the El Rancho. Steve, what's happening?
Jenna, the building is loaded with more than 700 pounds of high explosives. The implosion engineers are doing their final safety checklist right now. The strip is about to be blocked off to traffic, and everybody is getting ready for the end of the El Rancho. Take a look at the building out there. In its final few moments, it's been shut down for the past 8 years. The doors have been locked. The hotel has been out of business, and soon it will all be gone. And we heard talk that no one would really care about the end of the El Rancho, but take a look at what is up here with me on the Riviera parking garage. There it is, a huge crowd of folks out here to watch the implosion, and believe me, they are ready to see it come down. We'll be bringing it to you from all angles, including high above with Mark Martinez in Live Chopper 13.
That is right, Steve. Of course, we have a bird's eye view up here in Live Chopper 13, and you showed us some of the crowds down below. We see them gathering also from up here in Live Chopper 13. We want to show you the view now with Zoom Cam. You see the El Rancho there. They have lit up this side of it, the east side of the building, and across the street, that empty parking lot across from the Sahara, you can see all the cars there of all the spectators who've come out to see this thing. Even at this late hour, an implosion still draws a lot of curiosity from folks, and quite a few people, again, down below at that end. Also on the southern end of the strip, they have gathered at Riviera Way. The police have blocked them from going any further than Riviera Way. That's basically right in front of the Circus. We're going to zoom in now with Zoom Cam and show you the crowds there. Not anything like we saw during the New Year's Eve celebrations on the strip, but still quite a large crowd for 2:15 in the morning. And again, they are all down here to see the implosion of the El Rancho. Now down there on the ground and just outside of the blast zone is News 13's Kate Turner, who's going to show us what it looks like down on Las Vegas Boulevard. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Mark. You know, if imploding the El Rancho at 2:30 on a Tuesday morning was supposed to keep people away, it definitely didn't. There are hundreds of people down there, and this has turned more into a party. There's actually people that have been here since 11, 12, even 10 o'clock at night. A bunch of tourists who've come, saw it on the internet, thought they'd come out, take a first-hand look at what an implosion is actually going to be like. And you know what? No one here is really very sad to see the El Rancho go. It's just about time, and they're ready for a good show. We'll head back into the studio now with you, Jenna.
All right, thank you, Kate. Exciting stuff. Well, it wasn't glorious nor glamorous, but it is a piece of our history, and soon the El Rancho will be just that, history. Dynamite is now in place at specific locations on the ground floor, then the 3rd, 6th, and the 9th floors of the El Rancho Hotel and Casino. The explosions will actually begin on the north side of the building, moving south, and the El Rancho will be a pile of debris within half a minute. News 13's Kim Sherwood got an on-site tour Monday as workers began the final countdown to destruction.
4 months of preparation. Tons of guts chewed up and spit out. 4,900 boreholes, miles of detonating cord.
3, 2, 1, fire.
And 700 pounds of explosives. The stage is set for another end of an era on the Las Vegas Strip. The El Rancho goes hasta luego in just hours.
When we initiate the detonating cord, it will detonate at a speed of about 24,000 feet per second and ignite the dynamite.
And the biggest challenge of bringing down this huge skeleton is the actual structure of the building itself.
It was column and beams. We could just put about 4 holes in the column and eliminate that column, and that would take it out. But since we don't have columns, all we have is these this great expanse of filled wall. We have to isolate sections of the wall.
Controlled Demolition Inc. is the implosion king here in Las Vegas. They've taken down 7 landmarks with a bang. Zukowski compares this blast to the Aladdin in 1998. And the Hacienda, New Year's of 1996.
This building was not in this town, they would have taken it down conventional. People, this is a town that's 24/7. Everybody likes to see a show out here.
Kim Sherwood, News 13, inside Las Vegas.
Just about any new building would be a welcome sight. For decades, the El Rancho has been the little hotel that couldn't. This is what it looked like just before shutdown. In the early 1990s, developers hoped to reopen the casino as Countryland USA. That idea galloped into the sunset by 1995 with nothing more than a hopeful sign ever established on the site. In 1996, an out-of-this-world idea reopened the casino as Starship Orion. The plans included these far-out designs, but the financing, too, must have been an astronomical challenge. It never happened, and the deal collapsed. Naysayers warned that part of the strip just wasn't ripe for a major project. So the focus finally shifted from building something new to getting rid of something old and unsightly. Of course, before you tear it down, you have to sell it off. The owners of the El Rancho property wanted to get whatever they could out of the old hotel. So this past May, they opened the doors to the biggest clearance sale of the year. From lamps to chandeliers to a giant plastic horse, even a bowling alley. The goods were there for the getting. Not everything that once filled the hotel was put out for sale. The actual slot machines were already spoken for, but hundreds of shoppers opened up their wallets to virtually clean out whatever was available. Certainly not your typical day at the mall. News 13's Steve Krupe joins us again live from the Riviera next to the El Rancho. Steve, is there anything at all left inside the hotel?
Nothing at all. They've gutted the entire building. It's just the concrete blocks that are filled with a grout material and a little bit of steel rebar in there. For the past couple of months, in fact, they've been busy out there with the demolition crews drilling and digging things up, making it possible for tonight's implosion. The wrecking ball there you see on the El Rancho parking garage. That was about 8 weeks ago. They brought that to the ground, as well as several low-rise structures out to the east side of the main tower there. Now you're looking at the main tower. That is the structure that will be imploded today to make room for the Turnberry Place condo development. And here are the folks again doing some of the last-minute demolition work out there as they got the building ready for the dynamite that was loaded over the weekend. Now, one of our main camera positions will be in the Turnberry project. We'll have that angle for you as well later on. Jenna, back to you.
All right, thanks, Steve. The El Rancho Hotel hasn't been good for much lately. It's been an eyesore for tourists, a headache for nearby casinos, and a hazard for anyone who dared sneak inside. But for just a day or two in August, the El Rancho served an actual purpose as Metro's SWAT team put the abandoned building to use. News 13's Kit Williams was there.
SWAT officers check for suspects and secure the roof. Even though this is just an exercise, it feels real. Metro's Hueys drop off the rest of the officers, the ones who will head down the stairs to rescue the hostages.
CP, you're clear to enter. That it's a lot safer moving downstairs than moving upstairs.
The suspect is holding a hostage in the stairwell. An officer fires live ammo into a bullet trap, and the team continues their mission.
Slow it down.
This exercise tests skills that will keep you and the officers alive.
Your actions on the target are up to you.
Copy that.
By training at the range, you know, you see the same old thing.
2 people going to come in here
all the time. It doesn't really challenge you as much anymore.
I doesn't want her to get the breach.
Having an off-site location like the El Rancho Hotel
I got hold of her.
Makes the training more realistic.
It's up to you guys.
It can actually be the determining factor between a good SWAT team and a great SWAT team.
Even though it's just practice, emotions are still on edge.
Get out of the way! By having the off-site training, we can test those things, see what works and what doesn't. It's in a safer place for the community as far as knowing that we have done our homework. He's losing consciousness. He's losing consciousness. He is out. Unresponsive. Good idea.
SWAT not only trains in empty buildings like the El Rancho, they also practice in businesses that are open. The only difference is they don't use live ammunition, and they promise not to blow anything up. Kit Williams, News 13 inside Las Vegas.
Metro called that training exercise an important part of its readiness plan. Last year alone, Metro SWAT responded to 50 different barricade situations. And the barricades are up at the El Rancho right now. They're keeping spectators a safe distance away from the doomed property. News 13's Mark Martinez is in live Chopper 13 with Zoom Cam. Mark, how many people are actually showing up to watch this?
Well, Jenna, it's hard to count from up here in live Chopper 13, but quite a few Implosion fans have turned out, in the hundreds at least, possibly in the thousands as well. We are over the El Rancho right now with Zoom Cam. You see it bathed there in light as it gets ready to fade into the sunset. Now, we want to show you the area that Metro has established as the so-called exclusion zone. This is the blast perimeter. You see really all around the entire hotel, from Riviera on the south to Paradise on the east, and then up at near Wet and Wild, and also around the Strip, and even the dirt lots across the street. Even though we did see some people there parked, Metro's police cars and also on bike officers are there to make sure that no one gets too close to the El Rancho around the implosion time. So if you, again, it's too late for you to come down here now. We're just minutes away right now, but quite a few people did come down here, and they were kept out of that area that you saw there, kept a safe distance away, but still close enough to get a good shot of this. But again, right now with Zoom Cam and all of our cameras on the ground, probably the best way to see this because, again, you are being kept back at quite a distance. That's mainly for everyone's safety, Jenna. But again, we are kind of surprised to see the amount of people that did turn out here at this late hour. They were hoping to kind of keep the pedestrian and the spectator traffic down out here. That is why they chose to do this overnight. But when there's an implosion, people will turn out, as we have seen over the years in Las Vegas.
Mark, this isn't a particularly large hotel. Are they expecting much debris?
Well, they are expecting a lot of debris and also a huge dust cloud. That's because, as Kim Sherwood told us earlier, the base of this hotel is made out of cinder block, and so they had to drill thousands of holes into that cinder block and then place the dynamite into those pieces of block. So it created quite a bit of dust. So they are expecting a massive dust cloud when this hotel is imploded, and we are expecting that to happen in just a few minutes. We have been hearing some of the traffic going on below with the construction crews, or the demolition crews, I should say, and they did spot some people in an area where they weren't supposed to be, so we heard them call for a delay of a few minutes, but we're still expecting this to go off sometime around 2:30 this morning.
All right, thank you, Mark. We'll check back with you a little later. Right now, News 13's Kate Turner is at ground level just outside the blast zone. Kate, what's the mood right now as we close in on demolition?
Jenna, the best way to describe it is it's like a party. Everyone's getting really excited. We're only a couple minutes away, and you can definitely tell. People have been here for hours. You might think 2:30 in the morning, they would be asleep. Apparently not here. No one can resist the idea of an implosion. We are really not that far away. We're just a couple yards from the barrier where people have been set up since probably about 9:30, 10 o'clock with their home video cameras, hoping to take a chance of watching this eyesore go down, because that's what a lot of people think that it is. Tourists here are excited to be here, but for all of us who live here, they say it's about time for the El Rancho to go. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Kate. Well, we hear that it's just about time for implosion, so we're going to go back out to Steve Krupe, who's at the Riviera Garage just near the El Rancho. Steve?
Jenna, I've just been checking on radio transmissions from the demolition crew. They say they are holding off on their 2-minute warning. They've got a couple of things they're worried about. First of all, the winds are kicking up out here. Also, they have a lot of people in this crowd that they can't control. There's a whole lot of police officers and security personnel trying to maintain the perimeter, but a few people are in areas where they are not supposed to be, and that means the building is not yet secure. Take a look at it out there as it sits just perhaps a little over 2 minutes away. We'll get that 2-minute warning here in a second.
Get back to the machine and tell me when you're ready.
Those are the implosion engineers talking to one another on their two-way radios. They're on all corners of that building.
Okay, we're clear.
We're getting the preliminary all clear symbols.
CDI comes a 2-minute warning.
There it is, the 2-minute warning. We are 2 minutes away from the end of the El Rancho. Our view from live Chopper 13. There's the view from Stratocam. Mark Martinez, how does it look from your angle right now?
Well, Steve, we have quite a good view from live Chopper 13, and we were trying to see with Zoom Cam if we could see any of the folks that we heard might be somewhere in an area where they weren't supposed to be. We weren't able to spot anyone down there, but we did hear from those demolition crews over the scanner traffic that they thought there might be someone in a loading dock area. Whether or not they found those people, we just don't know at this point, Steve.
Okay, again, Mark, we have heard the loud siren that warned the crowd out here that we're just seconds away. Again, all the all-clear symbols, the signals being given by the implosion team.
Mark is clear.
They're calling off the names of everyone on the demolition team. Over the weekend, they loaded the building with more than 700 pounds of dynamite. Virtually nearly 5,000 separate charges throughout that building on 4 different levels. They'll all go off in one continuous wave of explosions that should last about 8 seconds. And then the building will seem to hang in the air for a moment as if it's not coming down. But then gravity will take over and the building will tumble to the surface of the earth.
Mark, are you ready? Mark is ready. Okay, Tom, warm up the machine. Tell me when you're in the red.
They're warming up the blasting machine. We will hear a countdown. They'll count it down from 10 seconds. They'll stop, though, at 5. You will not hear any more numbers after 5. And then you will hear the blasts, and that will signal the end.
Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Fire. Hold your positions. Beautiful, beautiful. Station. Dust is moving away from the strip, Doug. You can't see it from where you are. Very, very little dust on the strip. A light dusting that went through the casino only.
And there it is. The El Rancho has taken its final ride into oblivion as the dust cloud spreads out toward the east. You heard them say it on the radio. It was beautiful, just as they had planned. The 4,900 charges went off. And now the cloud of dust spreading out. Mark Martinez, what's your view like up there?
Well, Steve, you know, we had heard that it was going to be remarkably similar to the way the Aladdin was brought down. And I have to tell you, from my angle in Live Chopper 13, it looked a lot like it as far as the middle of the building falling and then the sides collapsing on top of it. And we are seeing now the dust cloud that has become a trademark of Las Vegas implosions. And they were mentioning over that scanner traffic there from the demolition crews, a light dusting going toward the strip, and it is heading now in sort of a northeast direction from what we can see. But a spectacular show, you know, a night that a lot of people have waited for. For years, people have just been waiting for that hotel to be brought down, and they brought it down in a spectacular fashion. This hotel, which has been somewhat in oblivion for the past few years, goes out in a remarkable way tonight, and a lot of people down there to see it, Steve.
Yes, indeed, Mark. I have put on my filter mask out here as the dust cloud is inexorably on its way. It will be a dusty night out here. I can already feel it in my eyes, but it shouldn't be too harmful because there is quite a gust of wind out here, and it should be blowing away in no time at all. But the folks out here cheered, as I'm sure did the folks out on the strip. It was quite an amazing sight, as all of the implosions are. Here is the replay of the implosion. Wow, what a view. There's the stratosphere camera view. Wow. We had all sorts of cameras surrounding the El Rancho. We'll have, of course, even more angles for you on newscasts throughout the day, but these are the ones that we're able to show you right now with our instant replays of the implosion. Next comes our view from Live Chopper 13.
Thank you.
Wow, and that was quite a shot of the El Rancho sign there, toppling off the very top of the hotel, 14 stories tall. Technically only 13, but the top one, because it's an unlucky number, was never counted. All right, and then we're back to a live camera picture now where you can see the haze of dust as it continues to blow across the valley tonight. This was the view from News 13's Skycam, our transmission tower located behind our studio, and off in the distance you can see how the El Rancho ended.
And Steve, up here in number 13, you could see the dust cloud there, and you can also see beyond the dust cloud a lot of the cars, the lights from the cars that were gathered in the dirt parking lot across from the El Rancho, across from the Sahara, to watch this. And you could really get a sense right now of how large that dust cloud is. But Steve, it is beginning to dissipate. We always get the advantage of watching this implosion from up above, but not being down in that dust cloud. Steve, how is it for you right now down there?
Mark, I can barely keep my eyes open out here. It's not too bad breathing, but it's definitely getting in my eyes. I'm with Teresa here. You saw the implosion. You came out to watch it. What did you think?
I think it was awesome. I was born here. I lived here my whole life, and actually my first explosion I ever seen. It was pretty cool.
All right, now describe what that was like as those charges were going off. You could really feel it in your gut out here, couldn't you?
You're just waiting. You hear all the sirens go off and go 3, 2, 1, and just like your heart was exploding. It's pretty cool.
Excellent. The folks out here loved it. They cheered, and the building is no more, believe me, but a little bit of it is still floating around in the air out here. I imagine, Mark, up there in Live Chopper 13, the dust is staying well below you guys.
Yeah, it certainly is staying well below us. We can see it, however, making its way north up the strip. In fact, reaching the stratosphere at this point, so that just gives you an idea of how far that dust does fly. And we knew it was going to be a pretty messy implosion because of all that dust and all the debris down in the bottom of the El Rancho. And taking another look at the implosion from Live Chopper 13, again, probably textbook, Steve. I imagine that the folks down there, the demolition crews, are very happy with their work. It looks like exactly what they wanted to happen did happen out here this morning on the Las Vegas Strip, and you have to expect that a lot of the people who got up early to come out here and watch this are very happy that they finally got to see an implosion, or perhaps if they're repeat customers, they are happy with it as well, Steve.
Mark, indeed, as you mentioned, they are very happy. Let's eavesdrop a little bit on their transmissions here now as they do a post-implosion check.
It looks very nice up here. It's very, very minimal. Is it even worthy of making a pass with it? Well, I see a water truck pulling out now. Make one pass to make it look good, and we want to open up the strip as quickly as possible, Craig, as quickly as possible. Ray, are you monitoring that, or does Craig have the authority to shut down the cleaning operation on the strip?
So there they go, talking about finally wrapping this up and letting traffic go back to normal. There's Live Chopper 13 giving us a great view of exactly how far this dust has extended. Mark, it really has gone on for a couple of miles now.
Yeah, it has. As we mentioned, not quite to downtown, but certainly just north of the stratosphere. So that gives you an idea, again, of how far that dust cloud is now making its way up the strip, but it seems to be dissipating in the immediate area surrounding the El Rancho Hotel, and that is where we find News 13's Kate Turner down there, just outside the blast zone on Las Vegas Boulevard. Kate, did you get hit with that dust cloud down there?
You know what, Mark? We were actually lucky enough to pretty much miss the most of the dust. It's floating down the strip. It kind of didn't get this far. Thank goodness the wind kept it away, but people are now starting to go with the dust, I guess, but there's still a lot of people out here, around here, still just gaping wide-eyed at what they just saw. A lot of cheers went up that you may have heard. Everyone was pretty excited to see this go. The boom, the look, the sound, all of it kept people pretty mesmerized, but it's gone now, and people are starting to head home with them.
Kate, now this was my first implosion. I believe it was your first implosion too. How did it feel inside your body when you heard the boom and that whole building just collapsed to nothing?
Jenna, it was my first implosion. It was really neat. Not only could you hear it, but you could definitely feel it. You could feel it, the ground shaking, you could feel it inside. It was really, it was interesting. And there was a lot of people out here who it was their first implosion as well. And everyone was cheering. Everyone was pretty much wide-eyed, try not to be wide-mouthed for all the dust, but definitely wide-eyed at it.
All right, exciting stuff. Thank you so much, Kate. And now we'll go back out to Steve Krupe, who is on the Riviera Garage, and he has a pretty much close to a bird's eye view of the rubble. Steve?
It was a great view of watching the building coming down. You mentioned it was your first implosion. This was my 7th, and they never get old. Even though this wasn't the most spectacular by any means, it was still quite a thrill to watch. Now, if you take a look out there in the distance through the cloud of smoke, you will see what little is left of the El Rancho. Some rather big piles of rubble that will take a number of days to haul off. In past implosions, some of that rubble has been loaded up into trucks and taken up to the dump at Apex. In other cases, it's been ground up right on the scene and sort of recycled as a landfill underneath what would become future resorts. We still don't know, though, exactly what the folks with Turnberry Place are planning to build out there in the middle of the nothingness. They say they are planning to build up to 4 large condo towers. But that piece of land right there on the strip is rather prime real estate. And we don't know exactly what, if anything, they're planning on doing with that, whether it will be a hotel, a casino, or exactly what. But right now, a rather calm and eerie scene out here as the dust again continues to dissipate. You'll see the El Rancho marquee. It remains. In past implosions, they've blown up the marquee at the same time that they've blown up the hotel. Well, believe it or not, despite the shabby condition of that marquee, the folks with Turnberry Place say they are planning on keeping the marquee, refurbishing it, and making it part of whatever project occurs here in the future. So that's the status right now from the Riviera. Jenna, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, exciting stuff, and it's interesting to know that the marquee will stand out there after the hotel was completely demolished. Now we're going to take a look at a slow motion tape of the demolition. All right, now we go back to Kate Turner, who's on ground level, and she was hanging out with some of the folks who were watching the implosion. Kate, you have an interview with someone who was probably just as excited as we were.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what, Jenna, it was our first implosion. It wasn't Brian's, but it was still amazing. Brian, tell me about why you came down here.
Oh, one was for vacation, and the other is I read about the implosion going on, so kind of combined them both together.
What'd you think of it?
It was pretty bizarre. It's a little closer than I expect to get.
You were right up against the fence with your video camera. What kind of pictures did you get?
I won't know until I take it back and look at it.
You excited to see it?
Yeah, I'm glad to get it.
Describe what it felt like. I was trying to tell Jenna back there what it feels like when the boom goes off.
It's just like a big force of wind blowing your back, and you feel it go right through your body.
It's a pretty awesome sight. What was the crowd like out here?
A lot bigger than expected, because there was not a lot of people knew about it from when I was talking. They didn't know what I was talking about, but quite a big turnout.
Overall, what's your impression of Las Vegas now?
Well, it rocks. It always rocks.
Good. Thanks a lot, Brian. All right, Jenna, you can tell, it's not just us that are amazed. It's even people who have already seen implosions before. This stuff is really, really neat. You need to get out here. Back to you.
I know. I'll have to check out the next one when there will be another one. And someone who had a definite bird's eye view of the whole implosion is Mark Martinez. He's in News 13's live chopper with Zoom Cam. Mark?
Yeah, and Jenna, you can bet there will be another implosion. That's one thing that always seems to happen in Las Vegas, like clockwork. Now, we want to show you a lot of the people who are leaving the area down below. Traffic seems to be moving along pretty well on the Las Vegas Strip. They were trying to get this reopened as fast as possible, and now, indeed, they are letting folks out to resume traffic as normal on the Strip. And now you can see a light that is being flashed down there. Metro's helicopter is in the area. They were here earlier as well, just to make sure that no one got inside the blast zone. And they are now mainly out here to do traffic control from the air to make sure everyone is finding their way out of this area. And there with Zoom Cam, you see the pile of what just a few minutes ago was the El Rancho Hotel. And now, again, just a pile of bricks and mortar sitting there waiting to be removed from this scene so that the skyline of Las Vegas can continue to change. And one person who has seen many implosions is Steve Krupe. Steve, I've seen quite a few in my days here in Las Vegas. How do you rate this one on the whole when you compare it to implosions past?
Believe me, despite what everybody was saying before this one, this wasn't bad at all. It didn't have the big fireballs, the fireworks, all the pyrotechnics, but this was a rather substantial structure. It had a pretty big impact when it crashed to the ground. You could really feel it, in fact, wobbling here on the parking garage. But even when you've seen it live, you've never seen it enough. So all of those angles that we have shot throughout the night, we'll be watching over and over again. This was the view from Live Chopper 13 and Zoom Cam, exactly as they said it would happen. It sort of eased on down, beginning in the north, and then level by level, pancaked towards the south. Very smooth. You would think that bringing a building down would be a rather crude science, but it's rather very high-tech, and all of those charges were linked by wires that were more or less computer-controlled, going off in very specific incremental blasts, floor by floor. You can see the little orange flashes that go off, and those were timed very specifically so that the building would weaken, the structure would essentially be pulverized, and then gravity would take over and bring the El Rancho to its final resting place. So that's the scene out here. Another successful implosion in Las Vegas, number 7. And we're told that 2 more may be on the way very soon. Jenna, back to you.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Steve. I am just a little jealous that I wasn't out there. Thanks so much for covering it. Well, it will be months, maybe years before we know what will rise where the El Rancho has fallen. For now, the focus is on the cleanup. And for those who were there to watch the El Rancho come tumbling down, it's time to go back to the hotels or go home. We'll be on the scene throughout the day. Join Dan Delgado and me beginning at 5 this morning for complete coverage of the El Rancho implosion on Good Morning Las Vegas. Until then, I'm Jenna Anton. We'll see you again soon.